Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. This is going to be a reading. I do have a topic in mind and I'll go through the discussions in the beginning of the reading and I'll say some things here and there while I'm reading the cards. But the main topic I would say is the area of uh, like a utilitarian relationship. And that links to practicality and efficiency. And there's different aspects that as humans we consider and we put on the table when we're thinking about the dynamics and our interactions with a specific person, whether it be like a partner type of relationship or like a family member. It could be um, different things. So another piece of it that I suppose is on the more the other part of it, because it came into my head and I have mentioned it before, is to let something die so that it could live again. And that could have different meanings and it could be an umbrella of different, of course, as I said, different things that you could consider it to be. Um, One might say you had an interaction with a person and there was a major event, and to other people it might not be major, but if it didn't jive with you or it rubbed you off like maybe the wrong way or maybe the right way, it propels the relationship in a certain direction. And sometimes when you form something and then there could have been an argument or something that was done and said that in your mind or in the other person's mind that's one of like a inexcusable thing, there could be the consequences of having indifference. This could also be built up too. So over time, if things aren't addressed and they keep toppling, um, they it might turn to indifference. It could be putting things to rest in a way where you're not dealing with the person anymore or situation. It could be utilitarian aspects of things that you go through in life. So, um, as I said, I'm a Libra. Most of my charts in Scorpio. Generally, there is this, a part of it where some may say Scorpios are difficult in maybe the relationship aspects of things because of having high expectations, and there's um, a lot of driven motive with emotions as well, that might be an overreaction to some, but the way that a person might react, or like maybe me, it could turn into being like a force of nature in that way, and to take a hard left or right turn and to go all in and to do this and to do that. And um, I feel like that is an important part of me where if I do something or if I um, like something or somebody, like I just go full force. And sometimes, you know, it's a lot for people and they're like, damn, Adrian, you really took it to 8 degrees or 8 levels more than what it was intended to be in that way. And sometimes it's like, I feel like there's such a passion with it and drive and um, respect for that type of my personality that I feel like it kind of gets reflected onto me in that way too. Because like when I love something, I like or love someone, like I love someone like as hard as I can. And so um, same things with different situations and work and um, it's not something that I necessarily play with in that way. Um, as for the level of indifference for utilitarian or practicality or utilitarian sake, um, for practical reasons, um, it could be linked to maybe relationships with parents. I know I don't really have a lot in that regard in terms of a relationship with my parents, but it kind of is a safe zone for those involved, my side and their side. There's a lot of things that went into it that made it turn out the way that it did. Um, and it really didn't do a lot when I was put into therapy starting like when I was 12 years old. And then I stopped going to therapy by choice at 18. So I don't have anything against going to therapy, but again, with the things that have already transpired and um, not seeing that much of a point if sometimes there was family therapy and maybe I would express something and then there was, again, just one sided for just talking on my side, feeling invalidation because what was the point of like you asked me if you were gonna say no, that's not what it was, and I'm just like, okay. Um, I know the therapist that I had a hard time with me because I was like deathly silent. I would not say anything um, because it just felt like there wasn't that much of a point and nothing on the therapist. Um, just certain things that what I mentioned was kind of surface level with it. So, and I feel like it helps maybe as a viewpoint of how I express certain emotions and how I specifically love things or maybe someone, because it's being able to be myself and to be it like wholeheartedly is something that's so important to me. It's really important to for me to love how I am and for the other the other person, if they love me, to love me as I am. Of course, you go through growth periods. I surprise to me, I don't think you could see it, but I got gold colored earrings today, which is surprising. I haven't had gold earrings since like maybe high school. And I still love silver, sterling silver specifically, because I feel like I get a reaction from just silver because of the nickel in there. But um, I like the softness that it has. So we go through different phases. And I mean, I mainly grew up with my grandparents and my godmother. I know that like there was times, and I get them still, where there's like an apology. Um, like I'm sorry, I should have been there for you and your brother more, and I wouldn't hold anything against them in that way. But sometimes it would be, I guess, again on my end, like if I was told what to do by my parents, I'd be like, "Why are you telling me what to do? Like you're never here, so I don't see the need to talk to you or like to listen." Um, I don't know. And to be able to get really deep into relationships too is important. This isn't like a personal introduction to me. I don't really share that much, and then when I do, I kind of like spew it out. So hopefully it's not too much. Um, I know sometimes like it was annoying or I wouldn't be happy where maybe they didn't know what I would do when I was happy or like when I was sad um or angry or know my favorite color or sometimes forgetting my birthday. And I'm like, I didn't, I don't know. I was already a pretty reserved kid for a lot of the time with most people. But like, if you got me talking, like if you knew and I knew how to talk to you, um, then I would like do this and like talk my head off with it. So I feel that type of aspect of practicality is important, and it's not something that is sometimes pushed away because you're like, that's not um that's not love or that's not a relationship thing. And I'm thinking I think it is because there I feel like it's important to have some type of knowing um, a things to do when this happens and it when something doesn't happen or how to move forward with things, um, how to view the relationships in as many aspects as you can see. So, and that might be a Libra thing to think about. But this is, again, a general reading. I'm going to try to make it a little bit shorter, even though I usually don't. And thinking about things from high school, well, not like necessarily a lot of things from high school. Like this shirt is from high school too. 1 second. Sorry. Um, let me, sorry, just changing how I'm sitting. I might adjust a couple of times so my feet don't fall asleep. But I just kind of wanted to go back a little bit and say, I mean, there were parts where my parents were mega present, and I feel like life moves forward, and over time, they, I don't know, were less present. And that could be with life. So I'm just saying it from my perspective because um, I say these things and then you might walk into like the family home and it just seems like there's family photos. And I'm not saying that, of course, those things happen, but it's also feels like what once was or what was like a period of time that doesn't really reflect a lot of what happened. And then there's, well, as I said, there's a lot of things that went on, and it's also like parent and children stuff. So when I would see some things, and for someone who doesn't see some things, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about, or let's get the priest to do some exorcisms on her to make sure. And I'm like, it's not necessarily like that because it's going to keep happening. So just a strange thing when they're like sprinkling the, I guess, sprinkling stuff on you. I'll start with starting. I'm gonna start pulling out cards. And before I started this video, I did pull out a card earlier, and it's a repeat card. It's the Indigo Children one. So my card was, and this is at the bottom, which is nice. So remember who you are, Archangel Michael. You're a powerful, loving, and creative child of God. You're very loved. And let me see. So this has been a card that has come up multiple times, and it says, Archangel Metatron, you have a bond with children. In particular, you can help children who are sensitive. So I'll keep those out, and then I'll pull the deck. Um, so it's Comfort, Archangel Azrael. I'm with you in your time of need, helping. For some reason, when I take these cards out, I like can't say the sentences. I am with you in your time of need, helping your heart to heal. I think this was one of the more successful 4th of Julys that I've had. Um, it's past midnight, so it's actually the 5th, but um, I just wanted to see what was open. A lot of stuff did close early, which I wasn't trying to stay out long. So the main event was going to the yarn store, mainly because I didn't have yarn that was. I have a lot of yarn, but a lot of it, most of it, is in storage at like the very back of my storage unit. Um, so I can't get to it. Like I literally can't get to it. And you'll see it maybe in the video log that I posted on my personal channel. I just like to do them just because I have a little bit of free time and I like to use all of my free time to do everything. I have a tendency to like to do everything. But it's also good to have those, if you can, like those vacation times. I feel that it's healthy for you, which today felt like it was, because technically it was. But at the yarn store, so my parents did gift me the full 5 inch, so that's the standard size needle set for the Chalco needles, for the tips, and I asked for it for Christmas, and I was really happy because it just opened up the world of knitting for me. I went to the I started using the Knitter's Pride Ginger Shorties for a long period of time because I love them. Um, but I feel like as I get more and more into knitting, I've just have been breaking them, but I have been going back to them here and there, and I feel like they'll be useful for when I go on vacation. I There's a couple places like when I move my application, there's certain points of the application. It's actually, I'm so sorry, it's already almost 25 minutes, where it's processing, like it processed one time and then I handed in more documents and it's processing for the second part of the documents that I had to hand in, which was the IELTS or the exam, and there's different parts of the exam, and then the FBI background check. So I want to go on vacation to different places. I don't know how people or how the airports feel about stainless steel needles. Um, but I bought a half set and I was just going to build on the collection for the second part of it for the larger needles because I use mainly sizes. Um, I've been using the 2.75, but I mainly use up to like, well, let's just say the US 3 to the US 8. and I don't use the larger size needles that often, or the tips. So I thought I'll just gradually get it because I wanted to complete it, and because not all yarn stores carry individual needles, and you can order it online, but I don't know about ordering over, like when I'm in Europe, and maybe if they're in the stores or not. But the 4-inch tips aren't so available because they're not the standard size that you usually buy, like with the Chow Um, and I just finished the second set, so I am a completionist, and I'm happy that I did that. I had to write in the beginning, like this is good, or write in the title, this is going to be a rambling video. And then for Europe, because I have, well, my hair's curly, but I like to use the other, my hair's not super curly, but um, also an interesting fact. When I was like, my hair was pretty like wavy, but then it got curly in like the fifth grade, like really curly in the fifth grade. Not like coils, but def there was defined and some soft curls. So, um, I got these rollers for my hair because I wanted to see like natural things that I could do. Because I have an adapter for the port to plug it in, but I don't want to use that all the time, and I could buy a new curler that when I'm there, but I don't know, maybe at some point. So in here, this is, I feel like, one of the more prominent cards in this reading, and I'm sorry, the Sword and Shield, it kind of feels like more of like op ultimate like defense with something, because the Empress links with Taurus, and it can link to Libra too. Um, with the Taurus energy, it's like it's a fixed sign and it's not going to budge. And so there's that level of sword and shield and protection. And even through that clarity too, and that groundedness when things are kind of set in place. Mhm. I think it's headed in a good direction. And I finished the first mitten for the Pray for Ukraine. I really like the Pray for Ukraine mitten. I really like how it's next to the Hierophant card, and I pulled those cards out together. So Hierophant is more, it's like a, I'm getting like a spiritual awakening with the relationships because, um, like in the Tarot de Marseille, it's like the Pope is, I believe, and there is an aspect of being linked to like values, and this could be a learning curve too. It can have religious connotations to it. And when it's linked to the Empress card in that utilitarian type of energy, there's a nice combination of the practical parts and delving into the spiritual and loving parts, because a card that also commonly comes out in the from the Archangel Oracle deck is like um, love is the only thing that exists. You would think that I would know it by now since it comes out so much. And even with the Nine of Swords, just kind of things that really eat away at you. And I feel like there's that point of being addressed or that point of healing that comes from the Hierophant too. Sometimes, like, you can link it to confession. I know, especially when you're younger and you kind of are forced when you go to private school, like private Catholic schools or what have you, you go to confession as part of, I suppose, part of the curriculum because you get your sacraments through the church as well. Um, it doesn't mean as much to you, but as you get older, you start to see the meaning behind it and to understand, and for some, maybe see the value in it too, to try to carry it out in your everyday life and try to be maybe a spiritual person in that way. Then it's the Emperor card, a lot of major arcana cards that already came out. So this is major arcana, the Emperor, with the Empress and the Hierophant. And as I mentioned before, this card kind of reminds me of when they're picking out a new pope and then they're gathering around like the the people that are wanting to know if the pope was chosen or not, and then they give the signal out to show that they're still talking about it. And with Emperor, it's linked to Aries. There is that jumpstart of a beginning because there's that energy from Aries that you feel since it's the beginning of the zodiac of starting things. With the Empress, it's slow progression, but it's a consistent energy where it grounds you. And with that Taurus energy that's on it, um, it's not going to budge. It's a lot of sword and shield type of energy. And I do I pull out this deck because, well, I enjoy working with the deck. I technically have the English version. This is the Russian version. Um, because I marked it. I like how it reads because when you have the English version, it has the seasons, which I like seeing the seasons, but for it to be like quick or a steady moving reading, um, I like to have the regular suits on there. And my English one is worth a good amount of money. I know the prices fluctuate with decks. At some point a couple of years ago, like someone was selling it for like $300, and I was gifted it from a friend. So thanks. Let me see. But for the Victorian Fairies Tarot, it's the card that I showed. It's the Seven of Swords. And the phrase that's coming is like, you live and you learn. And then that's also it when like, let something die so it can live again. Because I feel like with different people, that maybe see me and my parents, or they see something that dies in me, but of course I'm still alive and I keep going, and then other parts of me shine through in that way. When I was driving to the yarn store, I don't know if it's like a sign that is meant to be. I was just like seeing all these signs that were so like exact. Um, like I was thinking about something and then I passed a sign that was saying that, and I don't particularly know the area that I was going into because I don't usually go into that area. And then at some point I was listening to a song, and it just, some of the lyrics even like kind of, not the whole um refrain or anything, but phrases of the song, it showed up on like, what do you like, the billboard thing when you're driving past it, and it's not, you know, it's not they weren't playing, it wasn't like lyrics on the billboard, but it was like parts of the sentence that just showed up on there like at the exact moment when it was coming up. So I thought that that was so, like I felt like it was a sign. And for a sign of what, I feel like there was something that was trying to be like, yes, I know, I listen, or I see, or what you're doing type of thing, in a good way. And I mean, for anyone that's curious, it's the song that I brought up before. It's Breaking Benjamin, Diary of Jane. So there's the Magician here, another major arcana. And this feels like kind of keeping the peace too. So this could also link to, I guess, utilitarian in other ways. I know there's not the best like connections with that meaning, but you could take it for what it is, for how you're viewing it, and to not, if you think about it in like a negative way, maybe there's a reason behind it that maybe you can talk about, like maybe with other people or like with yourself. But it kind of feels like with this card, it's like a guru, which it is how how it's portrayed on the card, or like a monk type of energy where it's trying to keep the zen or keep the peace. I feel like it links to the Indigo Children card and the Seven of Swords. There's also the words lessons learned, and then um, like making choices that are like kind of spiritual to you. Um, like if you're Catholic, and when you do something or when you don't do something, you're like, I can't do that. That's kind of like, or if you were raised Catholic, you're like, I was raised Catholic. Like that seems kind of wrong to me. I can't do that. Sorry. Something along those lines. Another major arcana card, or two major arcana cards that came out, a lot of heavy shifts. It's the Wheel of Fortune and the Fool card. And that can also feel like you live in your, and you learn. There's also raspberries on the Wheel of Fortune too. Tends to be those um, lower level type of bush, hardier fruits. And you can see with the Fool like is being guided, and that feels like in a spiritual way too, because you see that the fairies are like tugging the person to go, and it looks like with the person like the eyes are open, but not really looking at the fairies. So maybe there's like a point where you can't see what's leading you, but you know, or maybe you can, or you have a feeling, or um, maybe it's the other way around where they can't see you, but you know. You have the Two of Wands with the Three of Cups. So it's the dreamer with the coven. And with the lighting key readings, that's what I meant to say. Um, it's fascinating because there's a point where it was slightly dimmer in that area, but then now it's lighting up a lot. So I feel like it's a good sign. My best friend called me, or I called her first, to say Happy 4th of July. Are you going to um, her sister-in-law's basically to have like a barbecue because that's like kind of what you do on the 4th of July. I don't like being in hot weather, so I'm not going to go outside unless I don't know. um, I I don't like being outside when it's hot. So I'll show the other cards and then I'll have to pack some things to go to my godmother's. It's nice that the counterparts are here. So the present, it's the King of Swords, and then the future is the Queen of Swords. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I will say like based off of, I guess, the hierarchy, if you want to call it that. Some people that might not like that word for it, but for the different court cards for the Page, Knight, Queen, and Kings, I feel like it kind of goes down to the Queen of Swords because there's a sense of vulnerability that comes with it. Um, there is like a expectation or standard with the King of Swords that really cuts through situations and maybe people. Queen of Swords is Queen of Swords has a tendency of cutting people off, and either that or using the sword to let people know how she views something, which can be she can definitely be mindful of how she's saying it. So if she's saying like no fucking offense, she could say it however she wants it in a way that's like probably the most offensive that you could hear it from somebody. But with this, I am getting that um maybe there's like a part of them and in the relationship or situation where you see things and your heart, like you have a tender heart for maybe the person or the situation to where you try to be maybe sympathetic, in some cases empathetic, and carry your duties or have those consequences carry themselves out after that. So, not losing your place, but still, um, the word I'm getting, or the words I'm getting, is like making an exception. There's something that like really tenders the heart at this time. And then the Seven of Pentacles, the Seven of Coins. So sevens might be important for this reading. The Empress is the most important card for this reading. So this is the Seven of Coins. That was with the Two of Coins. I feel like there's like a sense of fatigue that constantly putting this effort in and It's a slow process. It feels like as if someone's like going, like they're pacing back and forth. That's the type of waiting. And there's also understanding, like when you're planting your seeds with or it's seven, so when you're maintaining your plants in the Seven of Pentacles, there's that sense of understanding and maybe higher learning that comes out of it. With the Two of Coins, Two of Pentacles, that feels like there's also that trial of error that comes out of it too. And the other cards, how to overcome the obstacle. The obstacle cards are the Ace of Coins, Ace of Pentacles, and the Ten of Cups. It's interesting. It's like jump starting something that's already there. Kind of feels like car maintenance too. It was hot today, and then the rain started coming, and so it was the beginning of it pouring, and I was on the highway, and I was driving slower, of course, than I usually do, and for the most part, it was pretty standard. Um, One, because I was like, it was like slipping and sliding, kind of, and I have SUV, so usually it's not, it's pretty decent with driving in my car, and also, and I'm selling my car too, so I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna crash this car, like, there's no fucking way. And the traction on my tires, they're fine. I haven't done these trips in a while since like maybe I first started living here, so that was a couple years ago. And those trips, that was like around half a year I was going like up like every weekend to help with my cats because the cats were up there for a while. And it won't be, definitely not nearly as long. So because I went there every weekend, um, it was down to the wires of the tires. Then I had a donut for a little bit when one of them popped. Of course, you don't want to keep the donut on there. Then replacing the tires, you can go to some places, but for a new set of tires, it was like around like 700, and that's like kind of the discounted price if you get the full set. So those things that are just to make sure that you're aware of those things when they happen or when you notice. And for some, like the words that I was thinking, like notice changes. It was kind of funny. I saw this like video on Instagram of this cat. The owner brought the cat to the vet, um, and it was like I spent all this money to see what's wrong with my cat, and it just turns out that my cat just has a damn attitude. So, um, just to notice, especially in the dynamics of a relationship, and especially in like a lot of times in situations too that may not have to do with relationships. And then the last two for these these set of cards, how to overcome the obstacle, the Seven of Cups and the Two of Wands. So the Two of Wands came out twice. And there's a dreamy part of it too, because like the Two of Wands, it was the dreamer in the um, Universal Folk Tarot, and the words that I'm getting is like seeing is believing. So maybe there's like a blueprint of it, but it's not completely, I'm going to say it, manifested. I don't usually say that word. If you, or completely realized, because you have the Seven of Cups here too. You have that building there in the Seven of Cups, and it looks like that. Like, you know, that building. So there's like a planning and then creating that thing that you're meant to create. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video.